There's another stereotype that I really don't like is that a lot of folks associate taking a break with almost being lazy in a sense. Especially as, now people talk about, back when my day, I would, work 3 jobs and this and that. The mental load that we have today is very different than the mental load that there was before. Before you come home, unplug. If you had a phone in your house, only one person was on that phone at a time. If you're on TV, it would be one TV, right? The resources, the information that we're receiving and the processing that our brains go through now. I forgot where I was reading it, but there was a study done. It was saying like the amount of information that we get in like a day is the amount of information that we would go through in months, even a year back, or ancestors would have to go through. So now we're using our brain 4 or 5 times as much as we used to, and our evolution has not caught up to that. So we are literally burning out. Like we cannot focus anymore. And our body, if your brain is not good, your body starts to shut down, and that's where all the connections start to malfunction. And so we have to be really mindful of that in our everyday process.
You're listening to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. Have you ever found yourself struggling with simple tasks, frustrated, or feeling tired, or just uninspired to work? If so, you might be experiencing burnout. And the thing about burnout is it creeps in when you continuously expose yourself to stressful situations, like working long hours, the constant pressure to get the job done, or even having no boundaries. And I get it. Being a leader in your business, you're probably juggling many responsibilities, or you have to decide between who does what, and this can get overwhelming, which could put you at the risk of burnout. So when you leave burnout unchecked, it can negatively impact your productivity, which means that it can negatively impact your business. So you don't want to let this get in the way of your business. So it's important that you learn how to deal with burnout, set boundaries, and boost your productivity. So as always, we got you. Today on the podcast, joining us is Georgie-Ann Getton. Georgie-Ann is an NY-based tech ecosystem trailblazer, execution expert, mom of 2, and the CEO of GSD Solutions, a business development agency. She is also the author of The Art of Getting SHIT Done. So I've known Georgie for years, and as long as I've known her, she's always truly been about getting it done. So I'm so excited that she's joining me today on the show because she's a prime example of someone who gets ish done by any means necessary. And she's also the queen of productivity. So today in our conversation, we're diving into how to overcome and avoid burnout and improve your productivity and so much more. So let's dive in. Today's episode is sponsored by For Purpose, a 2-floor sports restaurant and event space located in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, where they offer delicious American and Caribbean cuisine. This unique Black-owned space offers on-site and off-site catering, only requiring a 7-day advance notice to the event. Their second-floor catering and event space come together as a package and includes in-house catering with food packages starting at just $85 per person. This package includes a buffet-style event menu that accommodates groups of 25 or more and consists of an appetizer, entree, dessert, and drink packages. This is the perfect option for birthday celebrations, graduation parties, dinners, baby showers, and Department of Education events. Event times are a max of 3 hours with an additional charge for each hour after. For Purpose's off-site catering options are perfect for corporate events, graduations, house parties, and more. Prior to booking, prices are subject to change, so email info@ivpurposebk.com to book your next special occasion. You can also learn more about For Purpose at ivpurposebk.com. Georgie-Ann, welcome to the Black to Business podcast. I'm excited to have you here. So welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be on the show.
Yes. So before we dive into today's topic about increasing productivity and avoiding burnout, if you could just share with my audience a little bit about who you are, what is it that you do in your business, and how you got where you are today.
Yeah. All right. So my name is Georgie-Ann Getton, but everyone calls me Georgie. The CEO of GSD Solutions, as well as I have a personal brand called GSD with Georgie. Where we are now in the business is GSD Solutions. We are scaling, and what we focus on is business development, specifically when it comes to technology tools. And what that looks like for our clients is that we work with our clients to figure out the best software for them to integrate into to digitize their business. Over the last 2 years, that's looked like a lot of virtual events because everyone has had to go virtual. And so we come in to support event organizers, event producers, to making sure, and just marketers too, to making sure that their virtual events run really smoothly from the technological side. And then for my brand, GSD with Georgie, I love creating content. So I really love to write, to share my journey, to talk, to test tech tools and give reviews of it. And so, just being in the tech sector has just been a passion for me since I was a very young girl. So that's a little intro.
Love it. Love it. And one of the things, like you said, is you all provide these solutions for business owners. And I think that the biggest thing of today's topic is that it allows these business owners to be more productive. And also with your experience managing a business, I'm sure you've gotten some great things that you've found that work, but also how can we avoid the burnout that a lot of entrepreneurs experience? So first, I want to start with just the importance of being productive when it comes to business. If you could just talk about what productivity means and really touch on why it matters for entrepreneurs to practice being intentional with being productive in business.
Yeah. So for me, what productivity in business means is that you're being efficient with your time and your resources. Let me actually say resources. Mm-hmm. And resources look like your time, your energy, your money, your mental capacity, your physical abilities, whatever. So whatever resources that you have that you use every day in your business, so that could be you, your team, whatever, you need to be really strategic with that so that way you're getting more done without reaching that point of burnout. Because as a founder, it is so easy to get burnout and to get overwhelmed by everything that's around you, by the things that you see, by just the noise that is happening in the startup community.
Yeah, certainly. And I know you've worked with clients and you've been in business for a while. Just what are some of the common productivity challenges that you see businesses face, or even some of the things that you faced yourself as an entrepreneur and some of the ways that you were able to kind of like overcome those things?
Yeah. So some of the ways that I've been able to, overcome them is by just really focusing on what do I want to have happen, right? Like, what is my bigger goal, and starting small. So I have like this big goal. I want to start a business. I want to start a brand. I want to engage these many people. But what does that look like in the beginning? Is it setting up the Instagram profile? Is it setting up a website? Is it just getting clear on that first initial service or product or whatever we're going to offer, from day one? Like, what is that thing that we're going to do, and start doing that, right? And I think that is the part that a lot of people skip over, right? They want to get to their day 27. They want to get to their big goal, and it's like, no. You have to take that baby step. You have to make that first right decision, that first step in the direction of where you want to go. And then that's how you get started. And then to get that, I like to call it rocket fuel, get that going. Once people know about it, right, share with your network, tell people that is around you what you're doing. And so that way you can get, enroll them into supporting you. And that could look like hiring somebody, that could look like getting an advisor, getting some advice, getting support. But you have to just make that first initial step. And I think there was a second question. If you could just go ahead and ask that one again. So, get
it right. Yes. Yeah, I asked about some of the common things that you see that businesses owners you've worked with, or just in general, that you see that they have these challenges when it comes to productivity. So some of the common things that you see, because I'm pretty sure people in my audience are like, I think I'm headed there towards this burnout we're going to talk about later, but also I'm not being as productive as I want to be in my business.
Yeah. So some of the common things that I see is that folks overlook there's systems and processes, right? So the things that you have to do every single day in your business, the things that you have to make sure are checked off, and a lot of things, it's the same task list, right? And these things could rattle your brain. So when you don't write it down, what are you doing every day? How are you doing it? Is there a way that you use a product or a service that's different from how it's designed? And I'll give you a quick example. There's an event software that we use in my company, and there's a feature where you add in speakers. And that's how the company themselves made that feature. Is it a great feature? Absolutely. But for the clients that we have, using that feature the way it's meant to be used leads to a higher risk event. And so we don't even touch that feature. And so if I didn't put that in the systems and operating processes, somebody that would come in or try to support would then end up using that feature because, it kind of says what it's supposed to do. Right. And they get overwhelmed or break something. So having clear systems and processes from day one. This is how I log into my email. I do 1, 2, 3. This is how we update the accounts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, making sure you're writing down and taking note of the steps that you take. And as things improve and as systems evolve, then doing a overview. Like, is it still best to do this in that same way? Or is it time to now upgrade, maybe using a different system, using a different solution, and then writing down those steps? So I would definitely say that's one miss. And then a second miss is delegating. So, we'll tie back that into the burnout process. It's just there are so many resources out there, whether it's really low priced what is it called? Person support. So I, call it outsource. So if you get like virtual assistants or having somebody in your family or friend kind of come in and help you tackle some of those tasks, right? That's one thing. And then another way to delegate is using automation. There's so much technology out there that can take off, something as simple as social media scheduling or emailing at a certain time or messaging to your newsletter. A lot of these things can be automated, but you have to delegate to the automation system or delegate to somebody that you're outsourcing to, but we don't often do that. And I think that's a second thing that gets a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of founders, a lot of businesses stuck in the loop. So lack of systems and a lack of delegation.
That's so good. And it makes me, one of the things it makes me think of first is the simplicity. That's what I hear in your message is keep it simple. But then when you're ready to upgrade, do that and use the things that you need to use for now. And when you have that capacity to bring in more, you can. So that's what I hear. But then also one of the things we have talked about in the past on the podcast is, like you said, the importance of systems. It's like we drill that in. But Georgie, I think like it's something that I need you to tell the people, because I know it takes a lot of upfront work to put systems in place, but the payoff in the end is so much greater. So what do you think about that? And how can you express to someone how important it is to just go ahead and do the work up front?
Listen, I'm telling you, doing that work up front will save you thousands, tens of thousands, and depending on how fast your business grows, millions in the future. And there are so many systems that, we talk about it every day, right? Let's look at the big world that we live in. Oh, the financial system is broken. Oh, the education system is broken. Oh, the healthcare system is broken. These are all systems, procedures. You come into the emergency room. They give you an intake form. Somebody had to write down all those steps. You turn on your computer. You're trying to troubleshoot. It's not working. Somebody had to write down all of those steps. And so if you're not writing down the steps that it takes for your business to be successful, and then tomorrow you're ill or something has happened or, life changes, and we all got that reality check. So pre-pandemic, if you didn't believe that, okay, you may have not experienced anything crazy or putting you into a position of lack or limited resources or having to be agile and strategic, right? But pandemic hit and that reality check came up. Oh, you do in-person everything? Well, guess what? Ain't no outside. You know what I mean? You're home. Gone. Figure it out. You don't like being on the camera? Oh, figure it out. You know what I mean? So you have to have these steps in place. This, based on how the world is right now, these are the steps that we have to do. And it doesn't take you as long as you think it might. And we also have to be aware of our skills. Somebody might say, I don't know how to type it out or write it down step by step. Well, guess what? There are freelancers called technical writers. This is literally their job. And, you know, you might have not heard of that. Or again, a virtual assistant, talk to a person. We're right now in a podcast. And so somebody could say, I don't like listening to podcasts. I prefer to read. Well, guess what? We could have that podcast transcribed. And now you have the whole transcript and you can read it. You don't like more voices, you can have it even be read in Siri's voice, whatever, you know, for both. And it's because of that system that's in place to now collect that information. So you don't have to write it all out step by step. If you're not a writer, dictate it, create a video, right? Or write it, right? There's different options of how you get that information and bring out that step by step, what needs to be done, or just talk out loud. First, I click on the left button, then we scroll down to the middle, then we drag it to the right. And this is a video that you're recording to then provide as training and have somebody transcribe it. So don't be stuck in just one way of how to do things. And that's another thing that I realized that people would struggle with. Like, oh, you know, Facebook did it this way. LinkedIn did it this way. Twitter, you know, comparing themselves to really big folks that did it one way. And I'm like, they are a 20-year-old company. They are a 15-year-old company. If you're trying to do it the way they did it, good luck to you. You're a little late.
Right. And they have a team, a huge team.
They have thousands of employees. They have free lunch, free breakfast at their offices. You are in a different lane. You are at a different time. And so what your systems are going to look like day one is going to be completely different. Even if you're doing something similar to somebody else, it's going to be completely different as their systems on day 5,000. So I just want people to be mindful of that. And putting these systems in allows you to do that. And I'm going to bring it right back to that delegation, right? Outsourcing, automating. If you don't know the system, then guess what? If you got 500 clients tomorrow, if you got 100 new orders tomorrow, could your business survive, right? We always say, oh, we want to get sales. We want to grow. Can you handle that growth? If tomorrow you need to hire 15 people because you went viral on TikTok and now Beyonce bought your product or your service and now everybody wants it. Can you handle that? If you don't have your systems and processing in place, that takes you maybe 30 minutes to do, per thing, you cannot handle that and you will fail. We've seen companies, go up in smoke because of this exact thing. So, and I'll stop.
That's putting it into perspective because, we've had Tanya Rapley on the show as well speak about, being ready for even people want that media attention, all of these things, and really having that business model in place and that foundation in place so that you can actually handle that. So I'm so glad you said that. But Georgie, I've known you for years. And one of the things is that since I've known you, you've built this brand around this GSD mindset, which is like get SHIT done. So I want to talk about the fact, what does this GSD mindset mean and the story really behind this? Like, where did that even come from?
Yeah, so we're gonna go back a couple years, and as I said in the beginning of this podcast, my full name is Georgie-Ann Getton. So my last name is pronounced Getton, and so in middle school it wasn't as much fun because there's that song I was getting some. And I'm not gonna finish it, but that was definitely the laughing joke, right? And then there was the Georgie put in pie. But as I got older, and just because of my personality, I've always been productive. I'm the oldest child, in a Caribbean family, the oldest child, the girl. So, a lot of responsibility was passed my way, and my family immigrated here. So I was, I don't know if other people have mentioned this experience, but if you're the oldest girl and you're Caribbean and you're the oldest child, like you are second mom, like you are in this house and there's a lot of responsibility. So when there was like phone calls or telemarketers or different things that needed to be handled, I was the household representative. And so that taught me a lot of skills from a very early age of just being, I have to now use my time in a more strategic way. I have to, figure out what needs to be done so that way everything can be done before like bedtime. I have, homework, et cetera, et cetera. And that was just how my nurture happened, right? So there was nature, a part of it, then nurture as I'm growing up. And then now I'm in high school, college, and my teachers are like, Georgia, you get so much stuff done. You get things done. And then as I got into my first few roles after, post high school and in college, they didn't say get stuff. They started going straight to SHIT. So, and I'm just like, you're right. And like that just excited me when people would say that. And then it's like a little fun on my last name, because it would be like, Getton, and then getting stuff done, or getting SAT done. And I'm just like, okay, I like that. And so I kind of just embraced that analogy, and what it meant for me has evolved over the years. At the core, it's still the same, but just what getting stuff done really looks like is just having that doer mindset, right? Mm-hmm. And having like initial ambition within you, right? The desire to achieve success while also being strategic with your resources. And like that to me is what the doer mindset is, being strategic with your resources. And I built out a little framework around it and some content, because I love to create content, and I have it called the 4 Ps. And I'll break them down really quickly here. And the first P is purpose, right? That's your why. And why do you want to do this thing? The second P is plan. The third P is produce. So, go into production. How are you going to do it? So the plan is what's the action steps. Then the production is like going and actually doing it. Then the fourth P is profit. How are you going to generate something from this? And profit doesn't only look like financial. How is this better for life? How is it making your mental health better? Like, how are you getting better, right? Profiting mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially from this thing that you're doing. And then the last P, which I actually added maybe a little over 6 months ago, is play. So getting to reward yourself after going through this process. So you have to have, why am I doing it? That's the purpose. Your plan. What's going to happen? How am I going to get it done? Going into production, doing the thing that you say you're going to do. Profit. How did you, what did you get from it? And then play, rejuvenating yourself, celebrating. And that is like the doer mindset, the doer, realm, right? As like this optimized state of productivity, getting stuff done while also avoiding burnout, which is a piece I had to add in there too. Yeah. Because we live in a society where people want things now. They want it yesterday. Mm-hmm. Oh, I want it now. There's like a SpongeBob meme where it's just, or episode 2, where it's just like, he orders something and then the guy it's just like in the house. It was like, it was delivered yesterday. Right. So it got there before he ordered it. So not next day delivery, pre-day delivery. And now they're working on teleporting and all that jazz. But, that's how people want things. It's just like, you have to do twice as much and you have to work really hard. And but you have to also realize is that the second part of that is it's not just about working hard. It's about working smart, being strategic, saying that realistically, I got 24 hours. How am I going to max this out? Well, delegating, right? Now, if another person is working in that day, let's say they do an 8-hour shift, boom, you now got 32. I'm doing crazy math. 32 hours instead of that 24 because another person doing 8. Okay, you're going to automate. Your system is doing some stuff, 12 hours more. Now you at, I'm going to lose myself, 48. So, it all adds up because now you are being strategic with your limited resources. And that's what that GSD mindset, that doer mindset is all about.
I like that, how you put that. It's like adding more hours to your day. Good note, good mental note. And especially thinking about when delegating. So, Georgie, I definitely want to ask, because I know that in entrepreneurship, a lot of times that mindset is what hinders a lot of people. So I really want to talk about, in your opinion, the role that mindset plays into success and people actually taking action.
Yeah. So I think one of the key things that play into the mindset of folks being able to take action is having the right support around you, right? I definitely know that if you don't have the right resources around you, once something gets into your head and it's negative, it's easy to believe if you have nothing combating that, right? Somebody says, no, you can't be an artist. You can't be a business owner. You can't be a founder, or, you're doing finance. You're not even good at money, right? If once somebody starts putting these ideas into your head and there's nobody or nothing to combat that and say, what are you talking about? Let him or her do whatever they want to do. I don't know. I don't understand it, but do what you want to do, right? Right. You'll get that support. I think having the right people around you. And if you don't have the right people around you, looking for those people. I know when I was younger and I wanted to pursue like entrepreneurship and technology, again, Caribbean. My mom was looking at me like, what do you mean? Like, weren't you just studying accounting? I went to an accounting summer camp on purpose. Like, that's how committed I was, in the end of high school. Went to an accounting summer camp. It was like 3 weeks long or something like that. And that's how committed we were to going into accounting majors. And then when I'm like, I think I want to pursue entrepreneurship and, work in tech and do all these things. This was back in 2012, 2011. People were confused. And I think definitely adding the fact that I had a son at the time, I had him in high school. People were just like, what? You're going to do this unconventional thing that may or may not work. We don't see anybody else in that space. And there was some negative feedback. Now, years later, people are like, okay, you're crazy, but it works. You know what you say you're going to do. Right. So a lot more support. But in that initial phase, I had to go find spaces. I created Facebook communities. I went to random events by myself. I talked to everyone. That's how you and I met, just being in a network, being in an ecosystem, just shooting my shot. Like, hey, I'm Georgie. This is, showing up no matter how I looked. I remember I was going to Baruch College, student, and then I would just come to like a networking event, no matter how fancy or business events after school, straight from school, book bag on and everything. Right. What is this kid doing here? And I'm just like, I'm here to learn. You guys are a tech meetup. I'm here. Right. Like, showing up and finding those people and again, being strategic. I had time. I didn't have no money or, a network at the time, but I had time. So I invested my time to gain that network and gain those opportunities, put my foot in, literally, got my foot into the door. And I think, that's a part of the mindset, not looking at looking at a no as a roadblock, but looking at a no as, okay, that didn't work out. What other thing can I do? Can I be more strategic? And another thing I'll say about the mindset is just not focusing on the problem, but really thinking through potential solutions. And I'll give an exact example. When I was going through the New York City ecosystem back again, 2013, 2014, I was not 21 yet. I didn't turn 21 until 2015. And there were a lot of events that were like 21 plus because they were serving alcohol. And I'm just like, oh man, I can't. That means I can't go to the event potentially. And so I have to think, okay, that's the problem. I'm not gonna turn 21 any sooner than when my birthday comes. It's not gonna happen. So problem addressed. This is the problem. The end. So what's the solution? I started reaching out to these organizations saying, hey, this is who I am. These are my interests. Do you need a volunteer, right? Do you need, because bartenders could be 18, volunteers could be 18 or younger than 21. They said, yeah, absolutely. So I was able to get in literally through the back door by joining the staff and participating that way. And it was a double opportunity because not only was I now in the event, if it was a paid event, I didn't have to pay. And secondly, I was now one of the first point of contacts or one of the most frequent point of contacts that everyone in the event engaged with. So if I'm serving you drinks and you're coming back multiple times, guess what? I'm serving you a drink and you're having a conversation with me. If I'm doing check-in, you can't even pass and go to this event without me knowing your name. And if I see somebody cool, I'm like, oh, wow, feel free to drop your card here, or, you know what I mean? So now I have this back-end access when 2 minutes ago, I had no access at all. So instead of thinking, oh my God, I can't go, I can't participate, I'm like, okay, how can I? What other ways can I participate in this thing?
See, you've gotten it down packed. Like you have gotten it, and it's making a way. If you want something, by any means necessary, getting it. And then that makes me think of like, you have this down to science and art, which in 2019, I know you wrote the book, The Art of Getting SHIT-ish Done. And I want to ask you, like, what really inspired you to write the book, and what should readers who are looking to get the book, or what did you want readers to get out of it?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So yes, what inspired me to write the book was I've always loved writing. Like I have journals, years worth of journals and diaries. And it was just a way for me to truly express myself and just get my ideas out there. I have dozens of pieces of paper, post-its, you name it. Do not put me in a space where I can write, I will write. And so I knew I wanted to be an author, and I had published, before a couple ebooks and like little things. And I was just like, I want to publish a book. Like I want to have something physical because I love also reading. So I love reading books. And I'm just like, I want something physical to acknowledge like the experiences, the lessons I've learned over this time. And people would always ask me to share my story and get really excited about it. So I'm just like, all right, I want to package this up. You know, what have I experienced thus far? Enough to put together a book. It's not my whole entire life, but it's enough about specifically that journey that I just shared with you about going from being like this kid, not knowing what, figuring out what I'm trying to do as a single mom, teen mom, and then going into the tech ecosystem and just figuring it all out, like getting stuff done inside of that space. And like, what does the GSD mindset and mentality mean? So that's what's covered inside of the book. And so it's my story. So like my experiences and stories alongside the tactical things that I learned, as well as systems and processes that I actually put in place. So that way other people can now apply some of those strategies to their own life, to their own experiences as entrepreneurs, and not even just entrepreneurs, right? You don't have to be a full business owner entrepreneur for this book to be valuable. So just for anyone that wants to be more productive, get more done in their life, and just be more strategic about how they allocate resources, whether they want to, start a family, they want to become an entrepreneur, they want to become an author themselves, but just getting that motivation, as well as I didn't see a lot of Black female authors, right? And even now, years later now, it's still very far and few that do these kind of personal development books, whether it's like a memoir or a guide or an instructional. And there are some amazing people in this field, right? There's, folks will know like, what's it called? Tony Robbins, Brene Brown, Rachel Hollis is one. And then, there's a bunch of other people, smaller ones, Kay Bowler, bigger ones. But it was just like, where's all the Black folk?
Right.
And so I started this search for Black authors. So I found Issa Rae and her book, The Awkward Black Misadventures of an Awkward Black Girl, and Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. But it was just so many far and few in between, like Lovey Ajayi books. And so I'm just like, I want to be a part of this journey of how people to figure themselves out and be more productive and optimize their life. And so that's why I published the book, and it's available on Amazon as well as my personal website.
Yes, and we will be sure to put the information in the show notes. So I love it. And speaking of that, I know that we've talked about, your success in getting things done and just the tips that you've provided for people who are, one, I want to really dive into those who are still in that space where their mind is winning, that mindset is winning, whether it be for a lack of resources or thinking that the world is against them or just not knowing how to even develop that just do it attitude. And I know you talk about that in the book. So any tips for those who are listening who know that they want more, know that they need to be more productive on how to develop this just do it mindset?
Yeah. So shameless plug. I have a lot of free content out there that I talk about this, right? And searching for it, YouTube, Google will be your best friend. And I think there was a saying that my mom would always say to me when I was a kid. It's just it goes, if she said in a pato, if sick na care, doctor na care. And what that means is if the sick person doesn't care about their health, the doctor cannot care. So help me help. You have to, as an individual, go out there and just even go into a physical space. Go on Twitter. Yeah, I need help figuring out entrepreneurship, technology, execution, productivity. Put it on social media. Put it on. Text everyone on your in your contact list. Right. You have to alert folks and alert places that you're looking for this thing. And, nowadays with the internet and ads, if you type something into Google, it will follow you and find you around the internet.
Really?
Right? It'll as soon as you send out that bat signal, it will come to you. And so your job is to say, this is what I'm looking for, and say it in every room that you join, every person that you meet, every conversation that you have, right? We are not here alone. Say it to the bus driver, say it to the train driver, say it to randomly on the train. People hold the signs in Times Square. Wherever you're located, you have these resources, and you have to be creative about it. You have to not hold yourself inside of this box. If you're in school, guess what? You have a bunch of students. Go to your professors. Tell them what you're thinking about. Tell them what you want to do. Tell them what your goals are, what you're working on. If you're in a job, Tell all your colleagues and your coworkers. Heck, tell the founder, even the CEO. You never know who can be your supporter, make an introduction for you, or just even point you in the direction. Because what you need is that direction, that next step, but you have to ask for it. That is 100% the truth of it. Keeping it to yourself is not doing you any benefit, and you can't get help. What's it called? What was it called? Like broke money don't make no, scared money don't make no money. You have to go out there. You have to take that leap of faith. And I'm not saying jump into the deep end of the pool the first time. Put your toes in. Say, hey, or just even on the side bars. I want to get in this water, but I cannot swim. So I'm going to put one toe in. If somebody else can swim and want to teach me, I'd love to learn, but just yelling, I can't swim, but I'm going to try this water anyways, right? And that's how most people do it. That's how I started. That's how many people started. I didn't know what I was. I was like, listen, I'm interested in this tech stuff. I'm going to join by any means necessary. I'm going to try. I'm a little crazier than most people, but right. It all starts with you taking that chance, you saying that you are looking for this and listening to this podcast. If you already found this podcast, I can tell you're going in the right direction, or if this was shared with you. So keep going. You're not going to see everything that's at the other side, but you have to keep going, take a step at a time and ease yourself into it, and you will get to your destination.
That is a word. You just gave it to us and straight, no chaser. Love it. And speaking of, one of the things you touched on is also like the importance of using the resources that are available to you. And of course, this is the Black to Business podcast. So I always like to talk about it from the perspective of Black entrepreneurs specifically, and knowing that we face so many obstacles when it comes to starting and running a business. Mostly it is due to lack of resources. I want to talk about, in your experience as either a Black entrepreneur or what you've seen, what are some of the things that you think holds entrepreneurs back Black entrepreneurs back when it comes to productivity in relation to being resourceful? And I know one of the things you talk about in your book is doing ish for free, like what you talked about even earlier, volunteering, going to events for free. So just talk about your experience in that, and any advice, any things that you've witnessed, and how we can overcome these things.
Yeah. I'll start off by saying, I completely understand not everyone, and I recognize my privilege in this, right? Did I grow up with parents and wealth and access and opportunities? No, but I grew up with something different that I feel like no amount of money could provide you, which is grit and resilience, right? We had to figure it out. Like, I grew up in a house that 3-bedroom apartment, and it was like 8 people up in there, 9 people. So you had to carve out your space. You had to figure it out. Now, many years later, right, because of those initial sacrifices, and I mentioned this in the book, my mom owns a 3-family home, right? And it started as, right, initially coming up here, and, we were living with friends and family friends. And there's a part of, I talk about in the book, I was living away from her. Like, I learned grit, resilience, persistence, right? Knowing that, this is day one. So it's not going to look all flower roses. And, I go into a room and say, yeah, my mom owns her house and this and that. People are like, oh, wow. So your mom has money and you have privilege. No. But back where we started was that apartment with 8-9 people in it, and figuring out how, day by day, building together, growing together, learning together. And so I recognize that that's what I got out of it. So where I am willing to, think outside the box, because I had no choice in certain situations. I had no choice, but, the box didn't exist, right? You got to think about the box. You got to, you know what I mean? So it's just like, there was no box to kind of hold me back. I was like, oh, no, I'm definitely not going to do that. It's like, oh, you think you have options to deny stuff? Oh, good job. Lucky you. And so it's just like, this is what you got. So it's either you're going to make it work or the end. There was no in between of that. And so I was privileged to have that kind of mindset and opportunity. And so what I would tell people, in order to build that, you have to put yourself in situations. I'm not, telling you to go too risky, but you have to recognize that if you don't have that resilience, that skill set, you have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions, uncomfortable situations, so that way you can build up that resiliency. So back to what I was saying about taking a leap of faith, you have to go out there and say, I want to accomplish X, right? And I may not have enough money to accomplish it. Or better yet, you have to do your resource allotment, right? I say there's three top resources. There's time, there's money, there's energy. As you age up, energy goes down, right? So if you're young, go out there, use up all that energy. But then as you lose energy, as you age up, you have more financial resources, right? That you have more money. And that, that's often the case. You've been working, you may have some investments, so you don't have the energy, but you can financially hire somebody that has the energy. And then this fluctuates, time fluctuates throughout your life. Maybe if you have children, if you have a full-time job, if you have family or elder parents to take care of, your time will fluctuate. So whatever resource that you have in surplus at that time in your life, use that as your investment. When I was younger, I had time and energy. So what did I do? Invest my volunteering, time and energy. So yes, I wasn't getting paid, but it got me into the rooms that I need to, that now those rooms, the people I met in those rooms, I'm getting paid for now as I'm older and I don't have as much time. I don't have as much energy to use, but because of that, now I'm getting the financial benefits of the time and energy that I invested when I first started. So think about the resources that you have. Are you smart? Are you really good at a topic? Are you really good at, I have these 3 questions in this worksheet that's on my website. So what do you know? Who do you know? And then what do you need? And so from there, when you list all these things out, so what do you know? Okay, I know how to sew. I know how to do financial management. I know how to, I know how to talk, right? Who do you know? I know the chief executive officer at this company. I know the COO at this company. My cousin works for this company, right? And then you say, what do you need? I need more money. Can I ask my cousin who works at this company that is looking for somebody in the skill set that I have to bring me in for a contract, right? Interview me, give me an introduction, right? So now we're allocating those resources that we do have to get to the goals of the things that we don't have. And I think we don't do that enough. We just, a lot of people will just look at it as like, oh man, I don't have enough money. I can't do that. Can you volunteer? Can you do a crowdfunding? Can you exchange services and knowledge and expertise for financial gain for somebody else? Or can they cover the ticket for you by you exchanging services? Can you exchange services with the airline itself? Right? A person like, I don't have enough. I'm not going to do that. I'm not begging or I'm not asking. And I'm really talking to my community here, the black community, because I think there are certain cultural things that sadly hold us back. Because it's just like, you don't go begging, right? Like that was a big theme. And there was a time where when I do crowdfunding campaigns or things like that, my family and friends would be like, why are you begging people for money on the internet? I'm not begging people for money on the internet. Right. And I was literally like, you begging people for money on the internet? What's wrong with you? I was like, I'm not begging people for money.
I can imagine it. Yes, that's so true.
They're investing in what I'm doing, or they're buying a product or service, or they're supporting this end goal. I'm providing something for them at the end. It's not, I'm begging them. It's just that they're paying up front for something that they hoping I pull through on, right? It's that. Right. And so, try to, it's gonna be hard, and you will get, depending on your family set up and your living situation, your life situation, it will be unique for each person. But I really want everyone to take a look at, what do you know, who do you know, and what do you need? Those 3 questions is a great starting point. Map out your resources and then reallocate them into different places. So that way it doesn't feel like, oh, I don't have any time, I don't have any money. Oh, but you got energy. Stay up at night and do that random thing, right? I've taught, what is it called? VIP Kid. I've taught on that, right? The when you teach English to kids in China. I've done TaskRabbit. I've done Instacart. I've done very Craigslist jobs, all the volunteering. I have stood in, what's it called? Washington Square Park with a sign that says Happy National orgasm day. That was a gig.
Wow.
No play. I'm a little crazy, and my privilege
Get it done.
it's gonna make me do it. But did I get paid? Did I get what I needed out of that situation?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And here I am. So
yes.
Be creative, not humble yourself, but just don't put yourself into a box if you don't need to, and practice building up your resilience and grit is the final thing I'll say about that.
I love that. Such a beautiful message. And, we got to do what we got to do. And then also, not letting that ego, that pride hinder us. So love that you shared that. And we've been talking about productivity. So I really have to ask you, what role does boundaries play into increasing productivity, and some tips for people who struggle with setting boundaries?
Yeah. I will say very honestly, I struggled with setting boundaries for a while myself. And I would set boundaries in certain places, and then other places I'm just like, oh, that's my friend, or, but in order to really grow, you have to set boundaries, and boundaries are beneficial to you as well as the people that are around you. And boundaries are directly related to burnout. And the way it's directly related to burnout is if you don't set boundaries, right? What happens is that people will come into spaces that you don't want them in. So think of it as your house. If you don't have that door there, anybody's just going to come in. They're not going to ring the bell, just going to walk in. They're going to walk in. They're going to walk in. Now you have 50, 60 people in your house, and you don't know how to tell them to leave, or who to tell to leave first, or are they going to feel comfortable with, and so what happens? You start getting upset, and then you're upset. Now you're feeling anxious. You're feeling annoyed. You're resenting these people. Why are they sitting on my table? Why are they eating my food? Why are they all up in my fridge? Right. And this is your physical space, your mental space cluttering up. And as you bring in more, as people continue to break those boundaries and not respect your boundaries, what's going to happen is that you're going to get to a point where you are burnt out, you're exhausted, and everything explodes. You're mad at everyone. You are mad at yourself. You are depressed. You're anxious. You may have depleted resources that weren't supposed to be depleted. And at the end of all of that, you're going to realize that you were the center and you didn't do anything about that. And that could literally have you spiral and not be in a healthy place for you to continue growing your business, for you to just continue even existing as a person. And so I want to tell people to be really, really mindful of boundaries. So boundaries is a way for you to pace yourself. If you have, again, that analogy, you have a door. Now when people ring, yes, you could come in. No, you can't come in. I'm not accepting guests today. My door is locked, right? And that allows you to have that space to refresh, enjoy your own space, enjoy your own quiet. And then when you are ready to go back out, then go back out. And you have to instill those boundaries. And if you hadn't built a boundary with somebody before, today's the best day to start. And a book that really helped me with this, I read it last year, was Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab. And it was just really about, she's a therapist and psychologist, and she just talks about what it took to set boundaries in her own life and as well as for her clients. And boundaries aren't something that I would say, if you haven't been setting boundaries, people are going to be surprised. What do you mean I can't hang out with you or call you after 12, or you're not responding to my email at 2 a.m.? But you have to stand solid. Things change, right? We are all allowed to change and grow and evolve. And with my growth comes, this is how I would like to now move within the world. And that means my business hours are 9 to 5. Right. 501, I'm sorry, I'm not available. And you have to hold that up too, because you're going to feel compelled. It's like anything that you do habitual. So that's another thing, habits, right? If you are in a habit of breaking your own boundaries, or you say you're going to do this, but then you don't do that, or you're willing to be too flexible, you're going to continue. You're going to feel like missing out. Like you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, I have to check it. The world is on fire. The world is not on fire. And I had to tell myself this for months. The one thing I would say to myself is, if there's an emergency, I saw it somewhere. It was just like, if there's an emergency, do not call me. I cannot help you. If you have an emergency, call the emergency services. If there is truly an emergency, call 911. And it could wait till the morning. Realistically, anything else can really wait till the morning. Is it going to be great or happy or fun? No, but I need to be well rested. I need to be focused. I need to be in the right mindset to then support and figure this out. Because if I'm in the right mindset, now I'm frazzled. The situation is already an emergency. Now I'm frazzled and not in the right mental capacity to handle this. More stuff falling through the cracks. And then everyone is mad. Everybody's upset. Why did you do this? Well, maybe if I had slept the full 8 hours instead of you escalating this, and I slept for 3 hours and I'm running on 3 hours of sleep, can't focus. You know what I mean? And then everybody's mad. No one has a good time, and regret all the way around, resentment all the way around, and solid relationships go down the drain. So boundaries is, it may seem harsh in the beginning because you're getting used to it, but trust and believe they will change your life. And those building a habit around your boundaries.
Yes, making it make sense. And speaking of burnout, we want to talk about dealing with and avoiding burnout. So if you could just talk about what burnout is and what are some of the signs that one is experiencing burnout?
Yeah, and I love to talk about this because burnout has been my friend. And I do not, we don't hang out as much as we used to, and I'm happy about that. We have boundaries with each other now. And I say that because it was just so essential. And I think this trope, and I want to come back to, again, this is a Black to Business podcast, right? This idea that, strong, independent Black women. I had a kid at 17 years old in high school, had another kid at 21 years old in college. I finished high school on time, finished college on time. I'm, growing my business. I'm acing. It seems like I'm acing everything. So what does that mean for other people? Sadly, that means they feel like it's okay to pile more stuff on my plate. And then they're just like, oh, she can handle it all. She's Superwoman. Let's just give her more. And I'm just like, okay, I guess so. I was told, strong, independent Black woman. Yay. Put it on my plate. Why not? I can handle it. No one else can. I'm Superwoman. And that's not good for any of us. And so what would happen is that I would just work until some days I physically could not move. And then, blood pressure is going up and, you're wondering why you're having these headaches and things like that. So what I would say is like one of the first signs of burnout is your attitude starts to change. Everything is irritating you. Like, why are you breathing next to me? Why are you talking to me? Why are you sending this email? Are you stupid? You start looking at them. You just, why this person send me a message on Slack? I am tired of these people. And that's the first sign, that irritation. The second sign is your body will tell you. You're feeling headaches. You're feeling very fatigued. You're hungrier than usual. You want a snack. You want chocolate. You want all the sweets. Like you start using food or your body will start, breaking down. One of my triggers used to be, and now it still happens. My left eye will start twitching and just randomly twitching. And I'm just like, oh, baby, you're too far. I got to back up. You got to reel it in. You know what I mean? That is a physical sign. And it took a while to notice these signs, but once you think about it, you'll realize, oh, wow, my stomach will start hurting, or you start getting a headache, or you're irritated, lack of interest. So the irritation, so your mood will change first. Second thing is the body will start changing and telling you, giving you that red flag, like you need to sit down or we will have you take all the seats. And so the next step after that, if you're not listening to the emotional signs and then the physical signs, your brain starts to go. You are forgetting everything, dropping the ball on areas that you never even knew you could drop the ball at, right? Missing simple things. You're an expert with finance and you put the period in the wrong spot. You calculate in the wrong math, doing all of these little mistakes because your brain is just like, we are tired here. We're going to take a nap if you like it or not. So if you want to feel like you're still awake, go ahead, but we're sleeping right now. And then after that, you are burnt out. After that, it's like a volcano explodes. So, the irritation is a step one, bubbling up. Physical body sensations is the second level. You're still bubbling. By the time your brain starts to go, it's at the tip. And then after that, overflow. You are overflowed. And to reel yourself back in, is going to require a solid support network. It's going to require being able to take things off of your plate, and depending on what your roles are or what your life it looks like. If you are a parent, if you are taking care of elderly, if you're a caregiver, let me not even say parent. If you're a caregiver, depending on your work schedule, it may be even harder or more critical what's at stake when you burn out. Again, if you're a caregiver, other people and individuals are dependent on you for their care. So then as a side effect, you're burnt out, which is totally understandable, and you need to heal. But then what does that look like for the people that you are taking care of that now already needed support, and now you're out for the count and they need even more support, right? And so to avoid burnout, I would say listen to the signs. We all get them. We all see them. And we choose to ignore them because the culture says to ignore them, right? Oh, why are you crying over a headache? Why is, you know what I mean? Oh, just push through it. Drink some tea. It'll be okay.
Ooh, the tea.
Right? Get some ginger ale. And it's just like, no, you need to take a break. And there's another stereotype that I really don't like, is that a lot of folks associate taking a break with almost being lazy in a sense. Especially as, now people talk about, oh, back when my day, I would, work 3 jobs and this and that. The mental load that we have today is very different than the mental load that there was before. Before, you come home, unplug. If you had a phone in your house, only one person was on that phone at a time. If you had TV, it would be one TV. Right? The resources, the information that we're receiving, and the processing that our brains go through now. I forgot where I was reading it, but there was a study done. It was saying like the amount of information that we get in like a day is the amount of information that we would go through in months, even a year back, or ancestors would have to go through. So now we're using our brain 4 or 5 times as much as we used to, and our evolution has not caught up to that. So we are literally burning out. Like, we cannot focus anymore. And our body, if your brain is not good, your body starts to shut down, and that's where all the connections start to malfunction. And so we have to be really mindful of that in our everyday process.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, because it's like information overload. Sometimes I'm just like, half the time my phone is literally on do not disturb, because it's just like my whole relationship with my phone and just technology in general has changed. And I think it's because of what you're saying. It's like, it's just too much information, too much news, even if it's good or bad. I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want to know nothing else new.
Yeah. And I think, and I'll just say this, like what you just mentioned, if it's good or bad, right? Social media is just like this heavy double-edged sword where you don't even get to ask people, how was your week, or what did you do today? We done already seen it on Snap. We done already seen it on TikTok. We saw their whole day. We don't have these conversations in the way that we did. And, something that used to surprise us. Oh, yeah, you already had that kid. You bought that house, right? We don't get to catch up. We don't get to miss out on stuff, right? There was a whole thing about FOMO, fear of missing out. And no, it's okay. Miss out on all the things. I want, when I see you, we could really unplug. Because what's the point of getting off our phones if we're already caught up? I already know everything you did for the last 6 months. You know what I mean? So we have to be mindful of both the good news and the bad news.
Yes. So what are some of your tips for like people who are experiencing burnout now, just about recovering?
Yeah. First, take that break. You know what I mean? Do not let anyone convince you that you're not feeling the way you feel. Your feelings, your emotions, and your side effects are real. So if somebody is telling you, do not let people gaslight you and tell you, oh, no, you're fine to come back. Do you feel fine to come back? So take that time that you need, right? Pace yourself in everything that you do. Have a solid support system around you. And again, it does not have to be your family or your friends. There are, believe it or not, internet strangers. Strangers aren't as strangery as they used to be before. We all have that one Twitter or Instagram bestie that we've never met in real life, and we talk to them. So reach out, right? There are people willing and able to support you in different ways, and it could be a Facebook group or link, whatever. Reach out. So have a solid network is the first thing. Then take the time that you need to refresh. And refresh does not have to look like what the capitalism tries to sell us as self-care. Yes, it could be going to the spa, going on a vacation. Other times it could just be chilling at home, eating breakfast, reading a book, painting, going for a walk in the park, right? There are so many different ways. Taking a shower. Taking a shower and leaving your phone in your bedroom, or taking a walk and leaving your phone at home for a 10-minute walk could undo so much that you'll be shocked at how easy that was. Or spreading your bed, waking up and saying, even though I'm burnt out, right? Part of this healing process is making up my bed, taking a slow day, making breakfast from scratch and eating it and without the phone or the TV on, and then taking a walk and come back home. Let's say that all took you 2 hours. That can undo 24 hours of burnout. I kid you not. Right? Yeah. I remember one time I got burnt out. My mom said, she had me come to her house. She said, go take a shower. I said, Mom, I have work to do. She said, go take a shower and I'm going to make you a meal and you're going to take a nap. I took an hour-long nap, but maybe, 15, 20-minute long shower. I ate, she made a home-cooked meal. And when I say I felt like I was a brand new person.
Aww.
Brand new. Like this, it was that easy. You can't.
Yes.
Burnout is easier, not easy, but take the time that you need, but also acknowledge that these things that we consider small can have a big impact, and doing them in our daily practices, the things that we do every single day, can then also alleviate that long-term burnout, because we're getting moments of relief every single day.
Yes. I love that. I love it, love it, love it. So, Georgie, this has been so amazing. And I want to end off by saying some of the problems that you are solving and the solutions that you are offering. So what are some of the ways that GSD Solutions is assisting entrepreneurs and business owners with business development, and kind of talk about your offerings and your processes?
Yeah, absolutely. So for my GSD Solutions, we're focusing on virtual event production. So if anyone out there is doing virtual events or interested in doing virtual events, and this could look like big conferences, or you're just trying to start streaming, or creating like a video podcast or anything of that nature, just anything in the event space, reach out. GSDSolutionsInc.com is our website. And then I am also doing a lot more speaking. Always happy to come do different talks. So I have like the talk about the 5 Ps where I break it down even more. Another talk that is all about, the doer mindset, like how to develop it and the things that I've learned and tactical tips. Another talk about virtual events. So I'm doing more speaking and engaging and just content creating. But I am just a lover of all things tech, learning, writing, and reading.
Yes.
And so any of those angles, I create a lot of content on social media, at GSD with Georgie on everything, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, like you name it. If I'm on it, it's GSD with Georgie. And that's the best way to reach me. But I just really want folks to take away from this whole episode is that you have everything that you need. Right? We always, I want this, I want that, I need this. Some stuff you don't need. You have everything that you need. And that is your mind, your persistence, and whatever you think you need or whatever you want out there, there is a way to get there. And if you're having roadblocks to get there and thinking through it, I also do coaching. So folks could reach out to me and we could set up a time. And what we really dive into is what are the resources you have and how can we make those resources work for you in the best way possible. And so I'll leave it there. And I think I answered all the questions.
Yes, you did. And speaking of having all you need and you having the doer mindset, what are some of the favorite tools and resources that have really helped you in your entrepreneurial journey? Yeah,
so I'm going to start with Google and YouTube, right? Love me some Google and YouTube. Any question that you have, put it on there, right? Put it on there, try to get an answer. There is more than likely an article, a blog, a video, something out there that will point you into the first step, that first initial step. Another resource that I use a lot is Facebook. So Facebook in the sense of Facebook groups, and LinkedIn. And so tapping into the people that you know is important. Asking a friend of a friend, hey, I know you work in this industry. Do you know anything about specific topic here? Right? If they can't do, or, if you can't afford it, they can't do like a whole coaching session with you or something like that, at least they could point you in the direction of a resource, or you could get a sample, free trial, etc. I love using the task management tool that I use right now is called ClickUp. I've been spending a lot of time with financial apps and tools. So I really like SeedFi and Digit and Self. And that's just to kind of get my money right. Because another thing that I experienced was like financial insecurity, just not knowing how much I should be making, how much I should be spending, how to build my credit. So I have like a whole mini series on YouTube about that. And what else? Gmail, G Suite, all things Google. So easy to share information and content. What else? Yeah, so ClickUp I use every day. I'm trying to think of things that I use every day. Google, I'm in there all the time. YouTube, I'm on. Yeah. So I would say start off with those. And then as you niche down to your specifics of what your industry is or what your goals are, then there are other tools out there that you can take advantage of to help you grow your business, start your brand, or just be more productive in your Zapier. I'll mention that. Zapier is another tool that allows you to connect different apps and software that aren't already connected. So that is a lifesaver, and it could allow you to automate different things. So those are a few.
Thank you. And I will be sure to put those in the show notes. And lastly, what does it mean to you to be Black in business?
Yeah. So to me, being Black in business means that I come from a culture of strong, smart, strategic people, and that anything that I dream of can be possible as long as I take my time, put in the work, and be strategic with my resources. And so that's what I want to do, and I want to continue doing and help other people to do the same, right? We come from a strong history, hundreds of years, thousands of years long, of folks literally using the land and the resources around them to build kingdoms and develop who knows what. And, from in the motherland of Africa to the experiences that happened after colonization and things and the slave trade. And we were still able to be strategic, be creative, from food to apparel to farming to jobs, and just all of the wonders that we were able to achieve. And to know that I'm coming from this history. Oh yeah, it's lit. So that's what it means to me. Like I gotta show up. Gotta show up and show out.
Love it. I felt it. So Georgie, this has been amazing. So before we head out, please just one last time give people where they can find you online, connect with you, and how can they support you?
Yeah. So GSD with Georgie.com, as well as on all social media, GSD with Georgie. Subscribe. I'm trying to grow my YouTube subscribers, so definitely subscribe. Purchase a copy of my book. It's available in audiobook, ebook, and print. Share with your network, as well as if you're working at an institution and they're looking for speakers to come in about productivity or just sharing my story. Happy, and I love and enjoy doing that. So those are some of the things that you can help me with, as well as like just sharing our work and virtual event production. But again, all of that is in one place. If you go to the gsdwithgeorgie.com website, it's all there.
Love it. Georgie, thank you so much for being on the show, and we appreciate you and everything that you're doing. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Such another great conversation. And I really love how Georgie-Ann laid out that to find peace, you have to set boundaries and take control of your schedule. Another thing that was a light bulb moment for me was when Georgie mentioned that as you're adding to your team, this allows you to add more time to your day. And y'all know how people love to say, you got the same time in the day as Beyonce or Oprah. And you really don't if you have a small team or a one-person show. So people like Oprah and Beyonce have more hours in a day than you because they have a larger team. The moral of today's story is take control of your life by taking control of your day and your schedule. This is what allows you to be more productive. This is what will enable you to get more done because you're setting boundaries and people aren't just barging in and taking over your schedule. So it was so great having Georgie on the show because she truly believes in getting ish done by any means necessary. So I definitely and truly hope that you enjoyed today's podcast and it inspired you to do the same. Get ish done by any means necessary. Thank you so much for listening, and be sure to get all the resources that Georgie mentioned because she did mention a lot, and also more information about her book by going to blacktobusiness.com/94. And if you have 5 minutes to spare, it would be so appreciated if you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So see you next week, same time, same place.